reporting from Wisconsin. Joining us now, the Republican National Committee's chief strategist, the communications director, Sean Spicer. Sean, thanks very much for joining us. I know there was a major meeting yesterday. Donald Trump met with your boss, Reince Priebus, leaders of the RNC. How did it go?
Well, first, I'd like to say that, the chairman speaks to all the candidates and the campaigns on a fairly regular basis. So I know that this was big news in Washington, but on a weekly, almost sometimes daily basis, he's speaking to most of these campaigns. So first that. Second, it was a great meeting. I think that they had an opportunity to talk about the state of the race, delegate math, where the race is going, and just share some thoughts on where things are heading from now. And on planning, frankly. So
he's had similar meetings with Ted Cruz, with John Kasich at RNC headquarters here in Washington, like he had yesterday with Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, he emails and calls with them. So, no, I mean, if you want to talk about exactly where it was, but he's met with Senator Cruz. He's met with Governor Kasich. So, I mean, he's in constant contact. As this happens to be, they had mentioned they were going to be in town, and we asked him to swing by. So I don't think this is that big of a deal. He's in constant contact with all three of the remaining candidates.
Which is important. Trump was very pleased with the meeting. You heard what he said, and he also tweeted this. Just had a very nice meeting with Reince Priebus and the GOP. Looking forward to bringing the party together, and it will happen. Will it happen?
I think so. Absolutely. I mean, every one of the candidates needs to do what they have to right now. They're focused on winning the 1,237 necessary delegates to become our nominee. But what unites all of them, frankly, is the fact that when we come out of Cleveland, we need to come out as a united party, and that one thing that everyone agrees on, no matter what you are in this party, is that Hillary Clinton is not an option that's acceptable. So we will get together in Cleveland. We will come out unified as a party, and we will go on and win in November. But I'm absolutely confident of that.
Did they discuss the possibility at that meeting you had yesterday of a contested convention developing in Cleveland in July?
I don't think it necessarily came up that way. There was just an overall of where the delegates were now, what the math looked like going forward. So I'm not going to get into specifics, but it was much more of a general state of the race, where things are headed.
I know the three remaining Republican presidential candidates, in their own respective ways, they've all walked away from that so-called loyalty pledge. I know the RNC wanted them to sign that pledge, promising they would support whoever emerged as the Republican nominee, not run as a third-party candidate. They've all walked away from that. How disappointed are you about that?
Well, I think all of them do recognize that the role the party plays is extremely important to our victory in November. I think all of them understand that unity is important. So I know that they're saying what they have to say at this point. We're in a primary. It's definitely competitive. Everyone understands what's at stake. We're in a very, very key part of this cycle, and I think they're saying whatever they have to say to make sure that their supporters, stick with them, that they build support. But look, Wolf, I mean, I know that all the discussions on our side, but as everyone watching and everyone in D.C. knows, the big rumor that's been going around in D.C. is, when Hillary Clinton, if she gets indicted, there's a plan afoot to try to put Vice President Biden in, and how that's going to play. I mean, I think the Democrats, what's looming on their side, if this indictment plays out, which a lot of people are speculating it is, and this sort of underground movement to figure out how to put the vice president into place is going to cause catastrophic shifts in what's going to happen in the Democratic Party. You're going to have Sanders folks going nuts. I think that, the story today may be what's happening in Cleveland, but I'm confident that we're going to put on a fantastic convention and come out unified. But I think the looming story is what's going to happen on the other side.
Well, when you say when she gets indicted, how do you know she's going to be indicted?
No, I'm sorry. I said if. I think there's a lot of what you're hearing a lot from Democrats right now is what's the plan if she does. I think that there's a lot of concern based on the evidence that's been presented in public that's a high possibility. So there's no question that when you talk to people that are involved in understanding the nuances of this, there is a lot of concern on their side of the aisle about what's that plan B going to be, because they realize that while Bernie Sanders has run a phenomenal campaign and this is not the race that she expected. They've got to figure out how they're going to ensure that he's not their ultimate nominee.
We know that the FBI, by all accounts, they seem to be getting closer and closer to wrapping up that investigation into her email server. Let's see what happens over the next several weeks as they wrap up this investigation. Sean, as you know, there's a new poll put out by the Pew Research Center that found that just 38% of the party would, quote, unite solidly behind Donald Trump if he were the nominee. 56% say disagreements with the party would keep many Republicans from supporting him. That's much lower than the share of Republican voters who expected the party to unite behind Mitt Romney, 65%, John McCain, 64%, at comparable points in the 2012-28 nomination campaigns. Does that worry you?
No, I think it's a very different cycle. I mean, I don't think Mitt Romney was a presumptive nominee in early April. John McCain was the presumptive nominee in March of their respective cycles. I think this time right now, you've got a lot of folks that are still very passionate about the remaining candidates. So it's not that odd that they wouldn't obviously still align want their individual to win and say, I'm only going to be in it for my guy. But look, history has proven on both sides of the aisle that once you have a nominee, the party unites around them. So, again, I know that that's the big talk right now, but I feel very confident that our party's going to unite. Everyone understands what's at stake. Hillary Clinton herself the other day made it very clear that the next president could decide several Supreme Court justices. I think everyone who's a Republican and a conservative understands the tremendous impact that would have on the next generation of Americans.
All right, Sean Spicer, I'm going to have you stand by. We have more to discuss. John King is also standing by. He's going to have a closer look at the delegate count when we come back. Much more with Sean Spicer right after this.